Good morning, good afternoon and good evening to you all wherever you are in the world. My name is Nick Ferrand and these are my Italian one take property tours. Today I am going to do a Q&A. I thought it was about time that we sat down and you and we had a little chat. Now you have sent me just the most gracious and wonderful and amazing and sublime and all those other adjectives, comments since I began this channel. And a lot of you who have sent questions to me, I do reply to all sensible comments, but sometimes your questions are just too long to reply. And so therefore I will send you a comment asking you to send an email to info@abodeitaly.com. And there's a great team behind this wonderful bookcase. You can never have enough books. And they are there to answer your questions. Occasionally I will reply to you directly. But please just, if there's a question you would like to ask, just send them through to the email address. I sincerely apologize for not having a video last week. It's extremely unfortunate. We've got a family member that's not very well. And I'm going to dedicate this video to Claire. Claire, we're thinking of you and we love you. Right, let's get on with it. First of all, I'd like to give a big shout out to Jim and Jana Litzy from North Carolina. Hi, Jim. Hi, Jana. They came to see us and we spent 20 days bumbling around the countryside looking for that perfect house. And to be honest with you, it was exhausting, wasn't it? It was exhausting for us. I mean, it is basically exhausting because it's not like living in a city where you've got uptown, Soho, downtown, or wherever, or there's a county or there's a zone or area that you would like to be in. You are in a situation is that you will deal with one house in one location, and then you'll get into your car and then you might drive for an hour and a half to the second location. And those locations are very different. Tuscany is the biggest province in Italy and it's made up of 5 separate comuni. It is huge. Anyway, at the end, I really hope you had a good time and it was just informative and you will be back soon. Also, I would like to give a big shout out to Bob and Gina who bowled into my office from Bertor in Canada and we took pictures together here. It was great. And also I'd like to give a big shout out to Matt and Kirsty. You're also incredibly nice and very kind and thank you so much. Finally, for all my American subscribers and friends and people who watch this channel, happy Thanksgiving for this week. Right, questions. Today I'm going to answer 10 of your questions, which I think are incredibly important. Now, this is my opinion, right? I am not an immigration lawyer. This company is a real estate company selling Italian property. You're going to turn off on me, aren't you? Right, off you go. You're not needed. So this is an Italian real estate company and I will try and endeavour to answer the questions which you have asked, but I will tell you now, you need to seek professional advice. I'm only giving my opinion and my opinion is 35 years of experience. Question 1. Can I become an Italian resident? Well, the answer to that question is yes. But you can start from there and you can end there. There are lots of things that you will have to do to enable you to become a resident in this country. Either you can take a flat tax, either that there is basically a member of your family who is Italian, and I'll get to that because that's the next question. Or either you can have an extended visa and then you can apply to the consulate to extend your visa, or you can make an application to become a resident. There is lots of information on the Italian government website and I will put a link in the description below. And there's also a lot of information on your respective country's websites as well. So I suggest that you look there first of all, and if we can help you with a simple question, we have a number of excellent lawyers that can help you to apply for residency in Italy, but it may be advantageous for you to apply for Italian residency where you are living at this moment in time. It's a difficult question. I, fortunately, have become a resident, and I've been a resident here for almost 20 years. Now, I am British, I have a British passport, and when we had Brexit, we won't go into that much today, but when we did have Brexit, those people after the 1st of January, and I think it was 2020, wasn't it, if I'm not mistaken, basically reverted back to the visa scheme, and we will get back to that in a minute as well. I hope that's helped some of you. I know that was really general, but the outcome is yes, you can become a resident in Italy. There are questions relating to this, and so you have to just bear with me. Question number 2. Can I get an Italian passport? Well, the answer to that question is potentially yes. Now, if you have Italian ancestry and there is a direct line of Italian blood, you can. But again, there are some caveats to that. I am half Italian and half English. I could have applied for my Italian passport, but I didn't do at the time. Now, it's slightly harder nowadays to apply for Italian passport, and you will need an attorney or a lawyer to do it on your behalf. Now, there are lots of companies out there who will say to you, yes, and you give them your information and your family tree, and they say, absolutely no problem. My advice to you would be to read online how to get an Italian passport before you hand over your money. You might find that the process will take 1 or 2 years, only to be told at the end of it, you cannot have a passport. To be honest with you, going back to question number 1, you can become a full-time resident in Italy without having an Italian passport. Question number 3. Can I buy a car in Italy? The answer to that question is simply no, you cannot, unless you are a resident. It's kind of catch-22. You cannot buy a car in Italy unless you are a resident. Now, I know for a lot of you that sounds very weird, strange, but that is the law. Some people have tried to circumnavigate this law, and I'm going to tell you ways that potentially you can do this legally. Now, if you have a house in Italy, you could buy a car in somebody else's name. However, that car will fiscally belong to that person. So unless you've got a very good relationship with that person, and I mean a relationship which is going to last for a long time, I would recommend that you do not do that. You can, on the other hand, lease a car for a period of time. And there are companies which you can do so. So if you would like to find out who are those companies, just please send me an email at info@abodeitaly.com. I would not suggest that basically you try to buy a car with a resident, because that person in Italy will be liable for potentially anything which happens to you or the car or a third party in the unlikely situation where there is an accident of any kind. So people do it. I wouldn't advise it. The other thing, that if you have a European passport, and especially this is true for English people who are now outside of the European community, is that you can bring your British plated car to Italy or in Europe for a maximum of 90 days. Do not try to bring your car and leave it here in Italy. It is not worth it. Taxes and insurance. Insurance is number one. I hope I've covered that point. Question number 4. Do I need medical insurance? If you are a resident and paying tax in Italy, you technically don't need medical insurance. However, I would strongly advise each and every one of you to get an insurance policy. It will just save any misunderstanding at a later stage. And obviously, if you are not a resident in Italy, my advice would be get a good medical insurance. Do not cut corners when it comes to medical insurance. Question number 5. How long can I stay in Italy as a non-resident? Well, that is a very simple question to answer. You can stay in Italy if you fly directly in Italy on most visas, depending on your passport, for 90 days, a maximum of 90 days. And I suggest strongly that you do not extend your stay. Now, for British people, if you drive into Europe, your European visa will be from the point you enter Europe, not from the point when you enter Italy. So if I take my car from Dover and I drive into France and then I stop for a couple of days and I drive down, that is going to count as 2 days out of my period of 90 days. You will then be able to, once you've exhausted your period of 90 days, you will then be able to, or you will have to, return to the UK and wait another 90 days before you have another 90 days. Now, I know, and I haven't looked at this app, but I know there's a great app where you can add in the dates where you're coming and going and basically the 90-day period. So you might go to Brussels for a weekend, and you stay there for a long weekend of 4 days, and then you go back, and then you might go to Paris, and you might go to any other European country, and that will all accumulate to your 90 days. And when you hit that 90-day period, you will not be able to come back to Europe for another 90 days. Now, someone's going to say to me that's not true, but that's what I understand the law is at this moment in time. You can apply for an extension. I'm going to get myself in so much trouble. But you need to do that at the Italian embassy or the consulate. And I would recommend that what you do is that you start reading on the internet about this. It's the most important thing. You do not want to overstay your visa. Number 6. How long does it take to purchase a property in Italy? Well, how long is a piece of string? When we are instructed with a mandate to sell an Italian property, we ask the vendors to undertake what is called a relazione tecnical, which is a deep check into the legality of the property. Now, depending on the property, there are always things that need to be updated, and that can be a simple thing or it can be a difficult thing. However, as real estate agents, we are not liable for the legality of the sale of the property, we put our hand on our heart and we do our absolutely best to make sure that everything is present and correct. But sometimes it takes slightly longer than one expects, especially now after COVID. When we had COVID, before COVID, we were in a situation is that you could talk to the planning department if somebody needed something needed updating, and it was quite an easy thing to do over a period of time. Now the comune, the municipalities, are only accepting appointments, and since COVID there has been a huge backlog of applications. But in general, to purchase any property in Italy, I would give you or give yourself a time frame of between 8 and 10 to 12 weeks. By the time you get all your ducks in a row and you've got everything else and you've organised basically the notary and we've supplied all the paperwork and we've done all the final bits and pieces, and there may be something, and I've touched on this in another video of how to buy a house in Italy, and I will link that video at the end of this one. There is something which is called preemption rights. If you own land in Italy and if your neighbour is a farmer, they have the right to purchase the land and the property and everything else. So we have to go through a process. And that process is a minimum of 30 days. It's actually become quite more simpler than it was before since COVID, which is a blessing. But there is a period. So that's going to take up at least 4 weeks. The conveyancing part at the beginning is going to be 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, till you get to a point where you actually sign the preliminary contract, which is the first part. So you can understand within basically between putting together all the contractual information and also doing the preemption rights, you're talking 8 weeks. So when I said to you between 8, 10 and 12 weeks, it's probably right. But it has been, and we have had situations where the completion date has been put back for 3 or 4 months. It's most unfortunate, but that's what happens. Question number 7. Italian real estate. How does it work? Now, I'm not going to talk to you today about purchasing a house in Italy, but I am going to talk to you today about the nuts and bolts of real estate agents, because it works in a completely different way from where you are, where you might be sitting or watching this video. Agents in Italy charge a commission. The standard fees in Italy are 3% from the buyer and 3% from the vendor. Now, I know my English friends who are watching this will probably be spitting out their Chianti Classico or their Macchi cup of tea, but those are the commissions. Each agent will have a mandate, and there are 2 things that one can do. You either have an exclusive mandate for the sale of the property, and every real estate company would like to have the exclusive contract, or there is another mandate which is called a multiple contract or multiple mandate, where the vendor would choose 1, 2 or 3. I don't suggest you choose more than 3 agents to market their property. We do our very best to attract an audience, but we can't have everybody in the world. It's just an impossibility. And I don't really mind having a multiple agency agreement with the sale of a property. It's just one of those things. But what you need to bear, or what you need to think about carefully, is that we can act for you as your American realtor, if you like, where we will source properties. So you will come to us and you will say, or Canadian realtor for that matter, or a realtor for that matter, well, hello Nick, we would want to buy a house in the countryside with a swimming pool, with a beautiful view, walking distance to a fantastic village, and we want to spend X. And we will say, fine. Then we will discuss with you where you would like to be, what area you would like to be, and then we work with other professional agents, and we will contact those agents and say to them, we have a client, here is their name, we would like to register them with you. Do you have anything for them which suits their criteria? Now, we are all finger happy when it comes to computers, and if by pushing all those buttons, you immediately send out a group email to every single agent, what is going to happen is that they are going to believe, although you might not have contacted them at all, that you have registered your interest to purchase an Italian property. And so therefore, I cannot, or we cannot, then solely represent you. So if you see a property with another agent and you contact that agent, you will need to actually view that property with that particular agent. I know, that's just the way it is. Question number 8, and this is an important question that you have asked me, and a number of you have asked me on several occasions. Do I have to pay tax in Italy? If you are a resident, and a lot of people say, I just want to be a resident, I want to be a resident in Italy, I want to be a resident. There are implications about being a resident in Italy, and one of the implications of being a resident in Italy is that you will need to do a tax return, unless you're actually taking the flat tax. Then you just need to pay the tax. But if you are a resident in Italy, you will need to do a tax return. Now, if you retain your passport, and in other territories, there is a dual taxation regulation between the countries. The rule of thumb in Italy is that if you make money with your feet on the ground in Italy, you will need to pay tax. That's it. If you rent your house in Italy as a holiday home, you will need to pay tax in Italy. Do not try to not pay the tax in Italy, because if you are found out at a later stage, there will be a quite substantial fine. I believe, and someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong, that the Italian government takes 20% of your rental per year as a flat tax. Please correct me if I am wrong there. Number 9. When is the best time to search for Italian property? That's another excellent question. Now, in the summer months, there's a lot going on. And basically there is confusion, and the sun is shining, and it's 30 degrees or it's more, and it just looks gorgeous. Canny buyers come in the fall, winter, or early spring. If it looks amazing in winter, it's going to look spectacular in the summer. Trust me. And it's very interesting because in the winter months, when you drive around in your car and you're winding around these beautiful hills, and then you go round a corner and you see this just phenomenal vista, and you just take a deep breath and go, that is amazing. In the winter, there might be woods behind you and you will be able to see exactly what's there. In the summer, you won't be able to see that. And there might be something just around the other corner. So you never know. But as I said, if I was coming, I would come in the winter months. Now, if you can't come in the winter months, then come in the summer. Come wherever you want. Properties come onto the market all the time. And the most important thing if it's a decision for you to purchase a house in this beautiful country, then I suggest that basically you register here at Abode, and then we will keep searching for you, because we hear about our houses coming to the market on a daily basis. And the big question, the big number one. Are Italian property prices going up? Are they going up? Well, they went up considerably up until the point of 2008. Now, 2008 seems a long time ago, doesn't it? A long time ago. All I will say to you is that good houses sell and sell quickly. Coming out of COVID in 2022, we almost sold our entire portfolio. It was just an amazing year. And I think the reason why it was an amazing year is because we have all decided that we want to get on with our lives. And I couldn't agree more with that. We try here at this company to take on properties which we think there is an audience and we believe that we can sell. Now, whether that goes back to one of the earlier questions, is the house ready to be sold? And the answer to that is yes. But secondly, it's whether, well, personally, whether I like the house. It's as simple as that, you know, and whether we can do a good professional job for those vendors who kindly would like us to act for them with the sale of their Italian property. There are so many questions that you have asked, and I really do thank you for sending me your questions. Please remember, but this is a very short Q&A. Some of the questions I am basically unable to answer, and more investigation is needed by yourself, or you will need to seek professional advice, especially on residency and especially on passports. I am not qualified to give you that information. Next week, we've got something special. I'm going to tour a house which I think is absolutely lovely. It's at a lower price end. It's in a gorgeous town, and I can't wait to show you that. I thought this week it would just be a really good idea. We're always around looking at properties, but I just really wanted to answer these questions. If I haven't covered your topic or your questions, again, please just send an email to info@abodeitaly.com. My name is Nick Ferrand, and these are my Italian one-take property tours. I hope you found this useful. I really do. For all of you who have subscribed to this channel, have you bought some Mackie mug? Thank you so much, or as I should say, Mackie merch, although this is not. This is Mackie merch. And for anybody who hasn't subscribed to this channel, would you be so kind and just push those buttons, and that would help me so I can help you. Until the next property tour, I'll see you very soon. Take care. Ciao.